If you want to be more efficient and effective while running your business with more inner peace, then working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a band-aid is vital. Welcome to the Business Brain Podcast.
I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve. Owning both a construction company and a real estate company meant Ben had a lot of pressure, and often things didn't go as planned. While this was part of the reason why Ben absolutely loved his work, whenever things didn't go well, Ben would find himself checking emails, scrolling through Instagram, or just wasting time on low leverage tasks. This led to procrastination and pushing away emotions on a daily basis. By learning to sit through his emotions instead of finding a distraction, not only did Ben feel calmer, but he also got more time back and was able to come up with solutions faster. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you do not have to struggle forever. In this episode 489 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, your weak thinking skills are costing you money. How much, you ask? I'll tell you exactly how much. Head over to lifefixuniversity.com/calculator, and in less than 3 minutes, you'll see exactly what your weak thinking skills are costing you. That's lifefixuniversity.com/calculator. While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills that you need to use are strong, doing the task happens easily. When the thinking skill you need to use is weak, doing the task becomes a challenge. The struggle that Ben had came from emotions being stronger than his thinking skills. When Ben came to me, he was like, I had this problem. I'm wasting way too much time, but I actually need it because it is during this time of distraction and focusing on something completely mindless that I come up with a solution. While there's nothing wrong with giving your brain space to think and coming up with a solution, the way Ben was doing it now had two problems. Number one, it meant that his emotions were being built up inside and one day can explode. And number two, it took a really long time to come up with a solution. So for example, he'll scroll through Instagram for 45 minutes to come up with a solution. But what if there was a way to come up with a solution in just 10 or 15 minutes? We wanted to find himself a solution as fast as possible so his projects can move quickly. Here's the cool thing for you to understand, that when you don't push your emotions away, it usually passes in 3 minutes. This is especially true for strong emotions. When emotions are lighter or not as strong, not as heavy, it may sometimes take longer. It could sometimes take a few days. They come and they go in a few days. But for strong emotions, if you just sit there and let your emotions process and go through you, within 3 minutes, they are usually out. But you have to let yourself sit through it and feel it. It's not fun to feel yourself being angry or really frustrated or sad or whatever it is, but you have to sit there for the emotions to pass. As soon as you start pressing them down, then it can take way longer and it takes a lot more time for it to pre-process and goes out. So here are 3 things that Ben started to implement to help him sit with his emotions so he can let his emotions pass through, get clear-headed, and think of a solution. Number 1, whenever he'd catch himself checking his phone because something wasn't going the way he wanted it to, he would stop immediately as soon as he remembered. In the beginning, sometimes he would only remember 10 or 15 minutes in, but over time, he'd remember faster and faster and able to stop himself before his hand even reaches the phone. So we're creating that pattern, that habit, that neuron connection in your brain of like, no, we're not going to reach our phone. We're actually stopping and just sitting. Number 2, Ben kept blank piece of paper and a marker on his desk at all times. It was like an easy access right near his computer on the side, that whenever things started getting stressful or not working out, instead of reaching for his phone, he'd reach for the marker. Then he'd scribble with his non-dominant hand, so the hand that he didn't usually use to write with. And this allowed for the emotions to process really quickly. Whenever we scribble or journal with the other hand, then we have direct access to the amygdala and the emotions go out really quickly. So it's really good. Not only are we not reaching for our phone, we have something else to do so that way our brain can have an easier time sitting through and processing the emotions. Number 3, for bigger stresses, Ben recognized that he needed a safe and healthy place to talk it out instead of bottling it up or scrolling on his phone. He had an open conversation with his highest manager where they decided that if either of them were thrown into a stressful situation, then they would pause whatever they were doing and go on a 15-minute walk to talk at this problem. Or if they were in different locations, which often happened in construction and real estate, they would just get on the phone and have this 15-minute conversation. And they had this 5-5-5 rule, okay? 5 minutes to vent, 5 minutes to discuss the problem, and 5 minutes to come up with a solution. By the time they got off the phone or they were back in the office, they both felt calmer and had a solution. So whether Ben was stressful or his manager was stressful, they'd stop, they'd take that 15-minute walk with this 5-5-5 rule and come back both feeling way better. Pushing away your emotions may seem like the best solution when there's so much to do. The problem is over time, the emotions build up and it actually takes longer to come up with a solution. The challenge this week is to pick one of the 3 things we spoke about. Number 1 is figure out what you do when you find yourself in a stressful situation. Probably it's something to do with your phone. And whenever you catch yourself doing that, then pause and just sit with your emotions instead. Number 2, keep a marker and a blank piece of paper on your desk so whenever a stressful situation comes up, you can just scribble with your other hand. And number 3, find a partner to do your 5-5-5 walk with. 5 minutes to vent, 5 minutes to discuss the problem, and 5 minutes to come up with a solution. Try it and let me know how it goes. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.
That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your business friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Cheers to peak brain performance.